everybody. It's Mimi from Linkage Wellness Institute, and we are joined today by a very special guest. And who do we have with us today?
Hi guys, I'm Nadiyah from Linkage Wellness Institute. I'm being a special guest today.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. We will be talking about PTSD. Now, I want to tell everyone that this is my first. I can't say first because I've like recorded a podcast before. However, we're trying to do this on our own and make it a thing. And so we're gonna have some minor hiccups and little things where I'm looking at different places like right now and stuff like that and kind of reading and trying to not read, but just bear with us. We just want to get the information out. We want to make sure people are aware. We want to make sure you guys are informed and have the education. And we'll work on the background noise, at a later time. But as of right now, we're going to talk about PTSD. And I feel like that's something that we all experience, right? Don't you think that's something that everybody experiences?
Yeah, I feel like one way or another, yes.
Yeah, like even if it doesn't have to have anything to do with medical, but as far as the medical standpoint from it all, PTSD stands for post traumatic stress disorder. And basically, it's a health condition that is developed by experiencing or witnessing a traumatic experience. So you may have almost drowned as a child, or you may have experienced abuse. And like us in a medical situation, we go through cancer, and that is traumatic from beginning until it kind of seems like it never ends. Because even for those who are diagnosed with complete remission, they still have things going on in their lives that kind of affect their everyday, and they kind of experience some sort of PTSD. I know for me, it's kind of fear of recurrence. I always have that fear. Like every time I go to the doctor, like something, they're going to say something that I don't want to hear, or I'm going to have to do something I don't want to do. So that's something that I'm constantly trying to work on. Do you have any kind of fears of recurrence that you experience yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I fear a lot of, like, I have a lot of fear about recurrence, and it does cause me a lot of PTSD because I had inflammatory breast cancer, which is a rare breast cancer. So it was very aggressive, and normally you're like late stage when you're diagnosed. So I have a fear that if it come back, like it would just be like more aggressive, like more progression on it, and so it could be, not as a good of an outcome as I had
Yeah,
this time.
yeah. And I think that's not like, as much as we try to not think about it, it's very hard. You can,
Yeah.
and even if you go and every time you get a scan, it's something that's good. You get
Yes.
scanned by a T when it's time for those MRIs and those PET scans. Like I have
Yeah.
some coming up again, and I'm
Man.
very like anxious. Like I'm anxious and
Yeah.
I'm stressed out. But as long as we keep our faith, I feel like, our journey is going to be tough, but we just have to keep the faith and we have to stay strong. It's like we're expected to do that. And so
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of causes PTSD too. Like the expectation of
Kind of.
like being strong,
Yes.
and you have to like show up and you have to be present all the time. That causes some sort of PTSD. And so I feel like a lot of people experience a lot of guilt too. That's a form of PTSD. I experience guilt because I feel like what I'm going through is affecting others, even though others may say like, no, it's not affecting me, we're here to support you and things like that. But you know that what you're going through causes stress to people, like my dad. I
Yeah.
know that my dad is stressed, that a lot of the times I don't feel well, and, things don't always go the way I want it to go. And I know that that affects him because he loves me, and so
Yeah.
that affects me in turn. And so it causes me a lot of guilt. And also, like, being there for my breast cancer sisters, like, I can't be there for everyone. And so that causes me guilt. And so
Yeah.
I kind of get stressed out and, have moments because I can't do all the things that I want to do. Like, do you experience anything as far as like guilt as well?
Yes, I do experience those type of guilt feelings as well. I also sometimes feel survivor's guilt. Not
Yeah.
saying like anyone should survive or not survive, but just going through like I said, inflammatory breast cancer, which is aggressive cancer, and dealing with all of that, and just really having a fear that you might not survive
Yeah.
it. I'm 11 years out, so I have been doing well. But just like if I see someone that I know or a breasty sister that passed away, where you might think they're doing good and you might not see them for a little bit, and then
Yeah.
just feeling guilty about surviving the cancer and maybe somebody else didn't. I know it sounds strange sometimes, but I
It's
feel
not
like,
strange. It's a
yeah,
thing.
I feel like with also with cancer with the PTSD, like it's just it invokes so many things,
Yes.
like survivor's guilt, feeling guilty, having skin anxiety, like all of those things, like just that
Yeah.
one thing, like spread out and like give us a lot of different side effects.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like feeling like you can't do the things that you want to do. Like sometimes people may call you and want to go out and you're
yeah,
like I'm tired. You know what I mean? They're just like, you're always tired, or you're, and it's just like you have
yeah,
no idea like what we have to go through. So again,
yeah.
I want to say to everyone, I'm looking at my computer screen, at Nadia, but to you guys it may seem like I'm looking at something else, but when I look straight here, I know that I see you guys
Yes,
and I'm looking straight into the camera. But it's weird for me to just look right here because the camera's
yeah,
here and the computer's here. So I'm
yeah,
trying, guys. But the next thing is like rebuilding our identity after acknowledging and accepting the fact that we have PTSD. How what was your journey on rebuilding your identity after identifying with PTSD? Because it's not easy when the doctors tell you that you have something or you feel like you have something, you look it up and you're like, oh my God, I have all these, I have all of these symptoms. Like, what's going on? Like, what do you
yeah,
do to kind of rebuild your identity back? Because cancer has a way of like stealing from us. So, what did
yeah.
you do to kind of like rebuild, your confidence and things back again?
Yeah, so I take it one day at a time because sometimes, like I said, I still like go through it, but it's easier now because I learned how to like pray, how to like be in the moment, how to like come back into the present and not like let's just worry about right now in this moment and then maybe today, and try not to get too far ahead because also I feel like the fear of recurrence and stuff and the PTSD invokes the fear of recurrence because you're thinking like it's happening now or it can happen tomorrow or like you
Yeah.
said we're going for different scans and we're being monitored. So any of those times, like something could come back. So I feel like
It's like it's not one thing that we can say. It's like so many different things that we do
yes,
every day. It's like hard to be like, let me think of just one thing. Like it's a lot of things that we have to do to rebuild ourselves.
yeah,
After dealing with a cancer diagnosis and then after dealing with a PTSD diagnosis or something like that, it's very hard to kind of be like, who am I? Because you think you're one person, but then you have all these new things that you're feeling and you're trying to process them and you're trying to like relate. And so rebuilding an identity after that is very hard. But just like you said, taking it one day at a time, making like a schedule for yourself. I would say
yeah,
like journaling, writing things down, and making like a steady routine, which was the next thing that I was going to say.
yeah,
Routines that kind of help us get by. And so I've developed a new routine for 2026, which is getting in the bed at a specific time because I don't know how to go to sleep at night. And so
yeah.
I feel like if I'm in the bed, that's kind of like guiding me to getting to
Yeah.
where I need to be. So
Setting
it's
you
like
up
you have
for
to
that.
start somewhere. So I'm not going to disclose the time that I'm getting in the bed. Just know that I'm getting in the bed at a certain time.
Okay,
And it's better than what it was last year. Okay. It's
but
not wee
good.
hours in the morning. Okay. And so I think that that's a step into the right direction because I am getting a little bit more sleep than I was getting. And that's kind of helping
Okay,
me function properly because if I'm always just like working, and then going to the doctor, then going to treatment, and then back working, and no sleep, I kind of get a little foggy. And so
yeah,
it kind of like makes it difficult. So, which leads to the next thing, which is like PTSD and relationships, which it could cause kind of a strife in relationships, because we're trying to deal with what we're trying to deal with and then having to deal with others. It doesn't make it easier sometimes, especially when people don't understand. So, what has it been like as far as relationships dealing with PTSD with communication? Like, do you feel like your communication was at all compromised or that you had to change that? Or did you like learn something from that?
I don't feel like I had to change it, kind of because I am like to myself a lot, and like you said, sometimes I feel like people don't understand, so like I don't bring it up as much. I don't want to say like I just like kind of like bury it a little bit, but I try not to like bring it up and talk about it because sometimes people really don't understand, and then you try to explain it. And I feel like sometimes people feel like, okay, well, you got through the cancer. Like, not that we should be over it,
Yeah,
but a part of moving on is just like,
not
okay,
talking about
this, yes, or this is not affecting you
it.
like how you saying it is, like things like that. And they're not wrong because they don't really understand. But
Yeah,
so I feel like for me, I just kind of just deal with it on my own, really. So
got
like,
it.
it affects my relationships too because I won't go out sometimes because I don't want to have to explain to someone. I keep explaining like, oh, I'm fatigued or I'm tired, like you said, or I'm just drained for the day. I don't have anything else because again, you also go into feeling guilty sometimes about not living your life. So like you feel like, oh, I gotta go, I want to go, but then your
Yes,
body's just like, no, you know,
yes,
you tired, you
exactly.
whatever, you aches and pains. People have neuropathy. I know I have some arthritis, osteoarthritis, and
Yes.
stuff like that. So
You just don't want to go into all of that, but
yes,
I will say from like a sister's perspective, from a human services practitioner's perspective, from a community leader's perspective, from someone who cares, communication is very vital, you know. And so even though we may not want to tell people, like I've gotten very comfortable with saying no, and if I can't do something, I'm not going to stress myself to do it. I do kind of find myself stressing a little bit over like linkage and deadlines and things like that. But if it's like your business and something that you have are so passionate about, it's not that easy to kind of let things go sometimes. But
yeah,
communication is key. Like I do feel a lot more comfortable with a communication. And so that's one thing I'm going to make sure that I follow up with you about a lot, because I want you to feel open and comfortable with saying, no, I don't feel well, and not even having to explain it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
even if you do want to explain it in a way that it's just like, I'm not feeling well tonight because of so and so, and that's it. You know, if they want to
yeah,
talk about it more, be open to like explaining it, but not feeling like you owe anybody anything, because we didn't ask for this. You know what I mean? We didn't ask what's going on. So we're kind of getting through it as we go along as well. We're learning, we're processing,
yeah,
we're accepting, we're, stomaching and all of that. And so it's like you have to kind of give us a break too. And the next thing is like trust. It's like, oh my goodness. I was just talking to my therapist about this. Like, I trust my doctors, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get another opinion, and I'm going to
mhm,
ask around, and I'm going to ask people who I think are going through the same things, or I'm going to do my research, because I can't just put my trust 100% into what someone is telling me, because I've learned that you can't really trust that all the time. You have to trust your own instinct. If your own instinct is saying something is not right, you have to kind of go with that. Have you ever
yes.
had instances where you felt like you had to kind of trust your gut and go with that instead of what someone else was saying to you?
Yes. I signed up for, this might be a little bit controversial, but I signed up for a clinical trial.
Okay.
And at the time, I didn't really know about clinical trials. And when I was asking, like the doctors of like the information, the oncologist, and then the researcher that was in charge of the clinical trial, like about the clinical trial, explaining more to me and things like that, nobody
Yeah.
really was giving me clear answers. And I did go a few times. It was like 6 or 7 sessions, and I went a few times, but something just was off to me. I don't know what that was, so I had stopped the clinical trial and just went on my own tuition. But now, like learning more about clinical trials, I feel like maybe I should have stayed, but I do feel like in that moment, my intuition was just telling me like exit out of it because I was asking questions, I wasn't getting the proper answers. It was like being pushed off back and forth, and I just felt like if this is something that y'all believed in as good as a clinical trial, especially someone in the situation that I was in, like
Yeah.
somebody should have answers about it and how it could possibly help me and
Yes.
just all the information. And so yeah, that was a time for
It makes
me.
it hard. Yeah. Things like that make it hard for you to trust,
Yeah,
like for sure. And like I'm dealing with right now, trusting if the treatment that I'm in still is like
yeah,
helping or harming me
that's
more. I'm at like kind of a crossroads. Like I know that I have to be in this treatment, but the way that it damages my body causes me severe PTSD, because like I have treatment tomorrow. So
yes.
I have PTSD knowing that I have to get up in the morning, get everything I need to get done. So I know by the time I get back home, I'm just going to be wiped out. So it's just like, what do I have to do? And so I don't really trust my doctors now, because it's like initially they told me that I would be in a specific type of treatment for about 6 years, and like it's been surpassed that. And so I'm still in the treatment. And so it's just like, what now? You know what I mean? I don't really know what is next. So it's hard for me to trust. So I'm getting over this part of PTSD right now, as far as trusting what my doctors are saying. They're saying I have to do this treatment, I have to take these meds, things like that. And
Yeah.
so that's what I'm doing for right now. But it's really hard to trust. So what about like dating and intimacy? Like I kind of just want to hide. Like I just want to hide because
Um.
like
Yep.
when it comes to that, I'm just like I don't know what I'm
Pretty much.
supposed to do or say.
Yes, I have been. This might be a little bit TMI, but I have been being celibate for several years now. So I feel like that makes it even harder with.
Sorry,
No, it's fine.
organic podcast, you guys. My phone is gonna ring. Okay,
And that's it. And we're back.
we're back.
But I feel like a lot of people don't want to, like, especially men, they don't want to hear about that, like, in the ways of, the way the world is going, like, everything's so fast paced now, and like getting to
Yes,
know people is like shorter and shorter. But on the other side of that, like you said, with trusting and just like being
yes,
having to not having to, but eventually I feel like when you're dealing with a cancer diagnosis, especially if you're having like side effects, whatever that may be, whatever you have going on,
yes,
if you're going to be dealing with somebody, dating somebody, you kind of do have to have a conversation. You might have to spill everything, but you'll have to get into some of it. And so, again, for me, like with the trusting and just like getting to know people,
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
know if I can get there, but I do feel like it's something that should be on the forefront and not on the back end, just because sometimes people cannot handle all that a cancer diagnosis comes with. You know what I mean? It's because overload for them. And, even though we're the ones that's going through it, especially sometimes I hear in the community, breast cancer community, a lot of husbands leave their wives and stuff when they're going through treatments and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I know I don't want to be, telling your
No,
business and stuff.
it's true.
Stuff
Like
like
it's
that,
true.
for real. Like, yes.
We're talking
Like,
about real
yes.
things. Like it's true. Like hello. Like I know
Hmm.
firsthand all about that. And so, like you said, opening up and having to like explain that again to someone or
Yes.
explain that to anyone is just like
Yes.
sometimes you just don't. You're like, is it worth it? Do they deserve this side of me? Do I want
Yes.
to reveal all of this? Like, can they handle all of this? And it's like
Yes.
we can't be responsible for like the weight that comes with what we have going on. We can't really be
Hmm.
responsible for that weight on someone else. Like we can kind of
Yes.
tippy toe and give them pieces at a time. But if you care for me and you want to be around me, then you have to know everything that I'm going through and everything that I'm
Yeah.
dealing with. You know, and
Yeah.
and I give a person that opportunity. Like I'm with you with the celibacy and all that. Like I'm
Hmm.
100% because it's like what are we doing? You know, like
Yeah.
what are we doing? Like we have our bodies have been compromised, and so we don't want to
Hmm.
share it with everyone. That's like a
Yeah.
private matter to us, and
Hmm.
so we don't want everyone to know what's going on. So dating and intimacy and trusting and communication can be a bit frustrating when it comes to trying to live our everyday lives. And
Yes.
PTSD can affect us in so many different ways. Like PTSD affects my OCD. And with things that I do, that's OCD, and people don't really
Hmm.
know about that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but
No, we
if
can't
you're
get into that.
OCD, then it could be a bit much. And so next, I just wanted to get into real quick about some like because everything that we talk about, we're not, like I'm not a medical doctor, we're not medical
Yes.
professionals, but we are trying to share with you guys things to do at home on a daily basis if you're not able to see a doctor about these things or if you're not ready to identify with them and go to therapy. There's things that you can do on your own. So there's like grounding techniques that help like shift attention away from the things that have caused us the stress, like memories. Like you may see someone on the street that looks like someone from your past and you're like, oh my god, and like things are going off in your head and you don't know what to do, or you see something on TV that might trigger something. Like for me per se, anything that has to do with like babies is kind of a trigger for me sometimes when I'm watching TV, like infants and babies, because I'm like in my feelings about the fact that I possibly will never be a mother. Like I do still have kind of adoption in the forefront in the future, but the way my cancer diagnosis is set up and all the things that's going on, it's like I don't really know if I want to like kind of have a child and then not make it. I'm just going to be
Yeah.
completely honest. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's fair to
Yeah.
the child. You get
For
an
real.
infant. raise it and they only know me as mom, and then I don't make it. They didn't
Yeah.
ask for this, and I feel like children go through enough. So I have to think about that too, because it would be selfish of me. I feel like if I know for a fact that this is what I'll be dealing with forever, and my chances are not good, then I will just kind of forget about it. But as of right now, I'm still hopeful. So I still have that, and in my mind. So one of the first grounding techniques that I want to talk about was sensory grounding, and that's basically like things that we can see, hear, touch, things like that. So when something triggers you, something that is comfortable for you, something that you can like grab onto, or something that you can like sense or smell, like peppermint, lavender, citrus. I know a lot of people, they have like they get incense, or they have like the aromatherapy burners that they have. I'm not even gonna talk about how I almost burned my house down one time with the burners, but
Oh no.
I know. So have a different way of doing that, because I was doing it wrong. Like I'll have like a show on the many things that I've done that almost like completely took myself out, with learning this new way of natural living and holistic,
Yeah.
should I say natural holistic living,
Yeah.
and being in tune with yourself and finding out different things and ways of doing things by yourself. You know, it can be very enlightening, put it that
Yeah.
way. And so that's what sensory is. You can do like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of thing, and put yourself in that element to kind of make yourself feel better. The next is cognitive grounding, which is basically like your surroundings and like colors and shapes and things like that. Like if you can find something like a squishy ball. I used to have like a squishy ball that I used a lot, that if I started to get like nervous or anxious, I can just like squeeze on it and it helped me. So that's one thing. And one thing that I use like every day is affirmations of safety. If you feel scared, or if you're experiencing PTSD, you can start saying things to yourself like, I will be okay. I'm safe. I'm strong, I'm powerful, things like that work. It's not just that you're saying it to an open space, you're saying it to yourself. And
Yeah.
so it's going to definitely help you when you're feeling that pressure of PTSD or stress, or something like trying to bring you down, because that's what PTSD could definitely do. And
Yes.
so the next would be like emotional and like imaginative grounding, which is
Okay.
like visualization, like finding a calm place. Like I love the beach. So when something's annoying me, or if I'm bothered about something, or if I'm in a lot of pain, I just think that I'm laid out on the beach, like somewhere in, Puerto Rico or something,
Somewhere
like
beautiful.
think about water. So something that you um love, or even like a space in your home. Like my desk area is like my whole sanctuary, but people are like, that's a desk, you're at work, but it's like I'm comfortable here, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is my
Yeah.
little space. So just finding areas or spaces that make you feel safe, that make you feel secure, and that make you feel comfort, is basically what that emotional and imaginative surroundings and groundings are. And the
Right.
last would be like connection based, which that is like finding someone to talk to. Like if I'm having a moment, I would definitely contact Nadia or contact Janine. These are my ladies of Linkage, my vice president and my secretary. We're very close. And so if there's something that we're going through internally, we've created just a space that we can talk to each other. So having people that are a part of your tribe that you can kind of reach out to when you're having difficulty, that's very important. If you have a pet, like I hear your pet's in the background, and then
Yes.
I have my Frankie here. And so pets are very important,
They are.
because snuggling with them, that is also a form of like helping with the PTSD and calming
Yeah.
ourselves, and having like a grounding technique, like rubbing on them, laying with them, looking at them, taking them for a walk, going outside with them, things like that
Yeah.
are all wonderful things that can kind of help you with like, this whole grounding thing. And the next thing is like hugging and holding hands and affection. I would say affection is very important. Okay. And so if you
Okay.
don't have a spouse or a mate, being affectionate towards family members, like we were just talking about our dogs, things like that, those things are important. And so even if you're single, it's okay to get a hug from someone every now and again. It's okay to hold someone's hand. It's okay to give someone a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
It is okay to do these things, even if you are alone, or things like that. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with affection. Some people are like, oh, don't touch me and blah blah blah, because the world is so crazy now. But
Yeah.
I feel like if you can get a hug in anywhere, get it. I feel
Okay.
like that's good, you know?
Hugs do make you feel better.
Exactly. Hugs
Yeah,
and just like calling someone just to say, I love you and I'm thinking about you, or, I hope you're doing good. That's also very helpful.
it is.
And so, in closing, you guys, I feel like understanding these dynamics with PTSD will kind of help us get more grounded in who we are, and if we are accepting to like our surroundings and what's going on. It's very important, like I said at the beginning, to identify with if it is a serious enough issue to seek therapy. I am a very strong advocate of therapy. I've been with my therapist now for 5 years, the same therapist. I definitely recommend therapy to anyone, even if it's something where you see someone once a month or once every 2 weeks. It doesn't have to be the generalized what people think about therapy. Oh, you have to go to a doctor's office and sit in a chair and blah blah blah. Like, no, it's not that. You really do get to connect with someone, even if it's virtually, even if it's through emails or text messages. Now with the new technology, they've made therapy services and things like that so much easier. And
Yeah.
so, even cost effective. A majority of your insurances pay for these types of therapy. So I would say if you are having these experiences with PTSD, OCD, if you're depressed, if you're stressed out, if you can't sleep and experiencing insomnia, if you, I'm sorry, go ahead, babe.
Anxiety too, yeah. Because like
Anxiety, exactly,
too.
exactly. Say something. Say something to someone, even if it's just a friend. Maybe that friend can talk you into doing therapy. It doesn't hurt. I just want to
Yeah.
always stress that, because for some reason people think like it's an issue with seeking therapy, and it's really not. It's
Uh,
really not. It will help you. And one thing that I did leave out with the emotional and imaginative grounding is journaling and
yeah.
writing words. That is very important. I feel like that's the most important, especially if you're a person that has a lot of feeling and you like to express, like you have a lot of things to express, but you don't really know how to get it out. Writing and journaling is very important. And getting in tune with what you're feeling is very important. We have a couple of manuals and journals within our Linkage Wellness Institute, like awareness education section. There is a healing hub journal. There's a my journey journal. There's some self healing worksheets. There's a coloring book, because we want to help with anything that we're experiencing, because life itself is a journey. It's not just about cancer diagnosis. Like, you don't even have to have a diagnosis to be going through trauma and be going through PTSD and things like that. So that's why we want to make all of these things available to everyone. And so I just hope that this podcast was helpful tonight. What do you think? Do you think it was helpful? You think that we talked about some helpful things?
Yes, absolutely. I learned some things too that I wasn't doing before, like especially the sensory one. I hadn't thought
Oh,
about
good,
that. So I'm going
good.
to
Yeah,
be
it's a couple too for me too.
yes. And the
Yeah.
journal too. I feel like journaling is important because then also too, you could journal about how you're feeling and kind of keep track of,
Yes.
the day, like just a pattern or a routine that might show up of how you're feeling, something that may
Yes.
have caused it, things that may trigger it, and that in turn will help you get a hold on your PTSD and get better with grounding and just getting back into the moment.
Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to reach out to me or Nadia, please visit our website, www.linkagewellnessinstitute.com. Also, you can DM us on social media. You can also email us at support@linkagewellnessinstitute.com. And you can also give us a call. We have a text and like email based phone system. So if you send us a text, we will definitely get back to you at 301-818-9548, and that's 24/7, 365. The linkage line is always available, but just give us about 24 to 48 hours sometimes in some cases to get back to you guys, but texting is always the most fastest way to get us. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. We look forward to doing more podcasts and talking about more topics that we think are like relevant to the things that we have going on in life. And so, what I would say to everyone is just like Happy New Year's, blessings to you all. Speak up about your health, stay in tune with how you feel, and just live the best life that you can. Like, what do you have to say?
and take my motto is take it one day at a time,
Yes.
because today you might not be having a good day, but now you see, okay, this happened to me today. Tomorrow I can change this or try to do this to make it better. Thank you for joining us, and I really can't wait to share these different topics with you guys. And hopefully we can get to a point where you guys can access the questions.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
live questions.
we're gonna get there, guys. We're gonna get there.
Yes.
Like we're getting there. Like this, this is just the start of where we're trying to go. But as with everything, if it's something that you're not that familiar with, it's something that you have to kind of work on and kind of build to. So we're building. We went from the lives to now we have the podcast, and so we will see you on our next episode next month, and we will put out the content to let you guys know what we'll be talking about. And also feel free to send us, emails or DMs about anything that you feel like we should talk about, or if you want to come on and talk to us about anything. We're open to all of that. This is like a very organic and free and just open podcast. It's not,
Yeah.
based on one particular thing. We want to be open to all things that have to do with women, wellness in the world. So thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Bye.